Xin chào các bạn, thầy Mike đây. Let's talk about gaming. But first, pause the video and leave a comment on your favorite all-time game. At the end, I'll tell you mine.
Đã quá, amazing ơi.
Video games have been around since 1958, but very few people even knew about them. To find a video game, you would have to go to a university that had a computer science department. As technology improved, they became cheaper to make and started to become more popular. In 1972, the Magnavox company released the first gaming console, the Magnavox Odyssey. My family had a ColecoVision, which came out in 1982. And these would be among the first generation of consoles, the most popular being the Atari. The second generation is when they really started to become popular, especially with the Nintendo Entertainment System, which came out when I was around 10 years old. My parents bought my family a Nintendo for Christmas. Now, my family has 5 kids, and we fought non-stop over playing time. So my parents bought a second console, which helped a little bit. Most memorable games were Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda. These original games are still quite popular today. Gamers today race to see who can beat the game the fastest. For example, when I would play Super Mario, it would take me about an hour to beat the whole game. But speedrunners of the game can now save the princess in 4 minutes and 55 seconds. And when I would beat Zelda, it would take a few weeks or 10 hours of play. But today, the best speedrun is 28 minutes and 15 seconds. Back to my childhood. During this same time period in the late 80s and early 90s, I remember many of the best games were at the arcade. And this is where my friends and I would hang out after school and on the weekends and keep pumping quarters into the arcade games. I remember playing Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tron, Gauntlet, Rampage, and Dragon's Lair, and a lot more. And some of these games still survive today and are remade and improved. Now on to my teenage years. Personal computers were becoming affordable, and we got a Tandy 1000 in the mid-90s. This was before Windows OS, and there was no mouse to click on things. You had to type lines of basic code if you wanted to do anything. This time was also when the internet was just getting started and it started to get faster, but still quite slow compared to today's internet. Back then, it would take 30 minutes to download a single picture, which is why most of the games I played online were text-based. And the screen would look like this. It involved a lot of reading and typing commands to progress in the game, traveling throughout the universe and fighting and trading with aliens, as well as buying and upgrading your own ship. Does that sound like fun? Well, at the time, it really was. In my early 20s, I clearly remember playing 2 different first-person shooting games. One of them was 007 GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, and the other was Halo 1 on the original Xbox. The Xbox was the first console able to be networked with other Xboxes. So we would bring all our Xboxes and extra TVs and connect them all together and have tournaments. I think the most we hooked up together was 4, allowing 16 people to play on a multiplayer map. Grand Theft Auto 3 also came out around this time, which I also have some great memories playing with my friends. Around this time, my friends and I were starting to graduate, get new jobs, and move to new places, so that didn't last too long. The last game I spent time playing was in my late 20s. This game is called an MMORPG, which means massively multiplayer online role-playing game, and it was called EverQuest. This was the first successful game that allowed thousands of people to play together at the same time. To advance in the game, you had to socialize and make groups to be strong enough to take on the mobs, or non-player characters, or monsters, which are killed for experience, quest objectives, or loot. It was an addictive game that has now been around for more than 20 years. And some people played this game all day and all night, barely taking breaks, and were quite addicted to it. Since EverQuest, I haven't really played video games too much. When I first got to Vietnam 10 years ago, there were some popular games on Zing that my students were playing. I did play a few such as My Fish, Sky Garden, and Happy Farm just a bit, and I played in Vietnamese and I used that as a language study and did learn quite a few new words. For those gamers out there, I highly recommend changing your settings to English. You'll learn new and useful words for sure if you do that. While I don't play any games now, I do like to watch some talented players on YouTube. I love watching speedrunners finding new ways to beat games faster, especially in the Super Mario games that I talked about earlier. Some streamers will play the original Super Mario over and over, sometimes 50 to 100 times in one session, and keep resetting when they make a small mistake. Their focus is unbelievable to me. Super Mario can be beaten in 5 minutes, but other games like Mario 64 can now be beaten in 1 hour and 38 minutes. And they memorize all the exact moves needed to be done over that time period. And some other games take 10 or 20 hours or more to speedrun. Wow. To me, that's just amazing. If you want to see what I'm talking about, click the links in the description to see these current world record runs. Video games were certainly a big part of my upbringing. I have many great memories of playing with family and friends that I'll never forget. Have you younger people ever tried playing some of the old games I've mentioned today? Are they completely boring to you? Graphics in games today are almost lifelike, right? And the gaming industry, now developing games for the 8th generation platforms, makes billions of dollars a year. So games will continue to improve and hopefully become indistinguishable between the games and real life. Virtual reality and augmented reality will make things really interesting, huh? Elon Musk is developing a neural link to plug directly into your brain. How would you like to try that? What's your favorite game? Did you leave a comment? Mine would have to be the original Legend of Zelda. This was the first game that you could do tons of exploration to win, and you can go anywhere on the map to search for secrets and useful items. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Chúc các bạn chơi game vui vẻ nha. See ya.